Hello and welcome to another episode of Allot 360. I'm Michael Schachter, Product Marketing Director at Allot, and I'm here today with David Elmaleh, Vice President of Products for Cybersecurity at Allot. Welcome, David.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you for having me today.
So, David, let me ask you a question. Allot is trying to sell to communication service providers so that they will in turn sell to the SMB, the small, medium business market. Why does Allot think that communication service providers can sell these solutions for cybersecurity to the SMB market?
It's a very good question, Michael. In fact, I have to tell you, we think because we have a strong experience with CSPs. As you know, we are already interacting with leading the Tier 1 and Tier 2 service providers. We have projects which have launched. And these CSPs have already started to target or targeted SMBs. And across, our partners, we hear consistent messaging. First of all, the SMBs have a good awareness of a cybersecurity risk. They understand that this can impact their business continuity. And they also understand that they don't have today the resources to deal with these kind of threats. This is a major problem for them. But on the other hand, they don't have the financial resources to go for expensive solutions, such as, for example, managed security service providers or enterprise-grade security solutions. These solutions, on top of being expensive, are also very cumbersome to operate. So this is also additional personnel for them to handle. And this is, again, a very strong challenge. So this is, in fact, a very strong opportunity for CSPs to play a major role and being the security provider on top of being the connectivity provider and providing to these SMBs an accessible, comprehensive and very strong security services.
Okay, so I understand why there's a market need, and you said CSPs can be providers of secure connectivity and not just connectivity, but do we have any research that backs up that there is actually this market opportunity?
Actually, we do, Michael. That's a very good point. And we have made several surveys across the years on the SMB market. And I think that we released one very recently. I don't remember the title. Maybe you can help me, Michael, with this one. It's available on the website.
This is the Finding Shelter in the Cybersecurity Storm.
Voilà, right. Thank you very much. And this is in fact available. This survey, the other surveys as well, highlight a few key points, as we mentioned previously. So the SMBs are aware of the cybersecurity threats. They don't have the required resources to deal with these threats. In terms of the endpoints, some of them have implemented endpoints, but this is either very low partial coverage, so they don't install on all the computers or devices or phones, or they don't have this endpoint strategy. And this also doesn't cover other devices, for example, IoT devices. On the other hand, they are strongly willing to have cybersecurity coverage.
So, David, you mentioned that SMBs do have some experience with endpoint solutions, and CSPs do promote endpoint solutions. Couldn't they just push them, more aggressively? What's different about Allot's solution that makes us feel it has an advantage over the endpoint?
It's a very valid point, Michael. And in fact, to look at this strategy of the endpoint, this is a strategy which has been going on for several years now. And because of that, we have in fact a good understanding of the validity of its strategy. What we see, in fact, is that the adoption rate of the endpoints, it's very consistent across the markets. Regardless, if it is in Europe or in North America or in Asia, we see really a low adoption rate. This is something that, can barely reach 5% in some cases. So it's really, really low adoption. And as we discussed previously, even when we have some adoption inside like a single business, this is partial coverage. So it means that we have some devices which are going to have an endpoint installed and devices which cannot have an endpoint installed. So, for example, IoT, smart devices, printers or smartwatch, Alexa, all these kind of things that we are very familiar with, which are present in the business. They don't have embedded security. So the endpoints cannot be implemented there. So what does that mean is that the actual security strategy with endpoints doesn't ensure full coverage. That's basically the point. And where, in fact, we have with Allot an advantage is that we can allow this full coverage in terms of the security. Why? Because we implement the solution at the network level. At the network level, yes, Michael? Oh, go ahead.
So yeah, you talked about full coverage and partial coverage, and how does the Allot solution through the CSP ensure the full coverage that you're saying SMBs are missing?
That's basically because we operate not at the endpoint level, but at the network level. And at the network level, you have full visibility of all the devices, and you can implement, in fact, enforcement and security throughout the whole network. The activation can be fully seamless. For the end user, it means that it's just about opting in for the service, and they can be protected across all the devices within their business. It's very, very simple. It's zero touch. They have full protection from the content which can be damaging their businesses, such as adware, spyware, malware. This is automatically blocked. They have also access to content filtering with a very simple configuration. So this is something which is, again, with very high adoption potential. This is a key difference between, again, the endpoint, where by definition the potential for coverage is low, and starting from the network and then implementing the security there where we have full coverage.
Okay, so I see how the network-based model will give you coverage on all the traffic, but you also mentioned visibility into the SMB devices. What's our solution that enables that to be provided to the SMB and to the CSP?
Exactly, Michael. So it's also a very good point that we need to address. In terms of visibility, the SMBs, they can basically see all their devices from a simple interface, and also define policies for their devices inside their own network, right? So it's not only being protected from the outside threats, it's also being protected from the inside, network flows, which can be also threats. So everything is visible, everything is under control for the SMBs with our solutions.
So this makes sense. The CSP is the kind of the gateway to the internet for the SMB, and by sitting on the pipe, sitting on the router, can protect the whole traffic flow. And security is, as you said, something that the SMBs lack, and they're aware of the lack, and they're worried about the threats. So my question, though, is as the industry moves to 5G, and 5G is supposedly a more secure network, how does that impact the Allot solution?
So in a nutshell, I would say that the impact is very positive. It means, in fact, a bigger opportunity. So if we keep it simple around 5G, this is all about better connectivity, stronger, bigger pipes, faster speeds, improved latency, but also more devices. And more devices, such as with the IoT, smart devices, it means, in fact, very simply put, an increased threat landscape, because we have more devices which can be compromised. They can be also launching attacks, from all these devices. So clearly, the attack surface is dramatically increased with the 5G. On the other hand, the risks are still present. So if we look again at the IoT devices, which are clearly associated with 5G on massive adoption, these devices, as we already mentioned, they are very, very vulnerable, right? So they still present very high risk. So it's very, very important to be able to protect those. And as we discussed previously, with Allot solutions such as a Network Secure or a Business Secure, which are acting on the network or the router, as you mentioned, Michael, we are able, in fact, to provide full security to this device out of the box as soon as they are connected on the 5G network. It's really technology agnostic. So SMBs are going to adopt 5G. There is not adopt with that. They have already adopted in some geographies. They are continuing to adopt. There is a strong potential for 5G for the SMBs to benefit from. It's an accelerator for their productivity. The question is basically how they can get security across the technologies and adopt that still being secure, right? And this is here again where our solutions plays a key role with our CSP partners, where they can provide them, this transition smoothly on the 5G technology and still being secured, regardless of, the technology of what they're using, and they can focus again on business continuity and, being able again to benefit from these advantages.
Okay, thank you very much, David. It sounds like 5G is not a problem for a solution. It actually accelerates the need for the solution. So thank you for spending this time. Thank you all for watching this episode, and we look forward to seeing you at the next episode of Allot 360. Cheers.